Hey, I'm Randy Younger, New York City's go to film enthusiast. Every week, I dive deep into the world of cinema with special guests from the New York City film scene. Whether I'm interviewing industry insiders or comparing the latest releases, there's always something for every movie lover. Join me as I explore the magic of film and discover what makes these movies unforgettable. Hey guys, I'm Randy Younger. This is a special episode of Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. And with me right now, I have a good friend to the show and a personal friend of mine, Mr. Tyler Michael. Tyler, welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you, Randy. It's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah, and you know it's been a while. You're just so insightful. You're so smart. You really know film, and I'm just so grateful that you're in my life and you're on the show.
The feeling is mutual. You took the words right out of my mouth, man. No irony whatsoever.
Nice, nice. So we've got two films to talk about tonight. But guys, before we get into the reviews for tonight, I just want to acknowledge that this week we lost a really great, talented actor, Mr. Robert Redford, and you know he was just a very strong presence in the film community, and he is responsible for so many great films, not just in front of the camera but behind it as well. And I just wanted to acknowledge that his legacy is felt by all of us, and we will actually be giving a little bit of a tribute episode in a few weeks. So just keep that in mind, guys, and we look forward to discussing his film and the mark he left on Hollywood. So, Tyler, are you excited for that one?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's going to be quite the education for me because I haven't seen a ton of Robert Redford movies, so I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to this.
Me too, me too. I am also looking forward to the education as well. And we're going to do it all in the name of Mr. Redford and his family. So stay tuned for that episode, guys. It's coming soon. But for purposes of tonight, we're going to be discussing two films. The first one, it is a boxing drama called The Cut, and it stars Orlando Bloom as an aging boxer who's kind of fallen on hard times. However, he wants to get back in the ring, back into competition. But in order to do that, he has to make weight, and he needs to lose a substantial amount of weight before he competes. And this film basically, it's really not a boxing movie. It's more of a movie about a guy just trying to shed a few pounds. And I think they handled it very well. I think Bloom did a great job. I've never really been impressed by his work. I know him mostly from the Lord of the Rings trilogy and also the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And he's always been sort of a heartthrob. But in The Cut, he really shows a new side of his acting, and I was actually pretty impressed by what I saw. Uh, but yeah, it's a fine film, and I just want to hear what you thought of it, Tyler.
Well, going into The Cut,
Mm.
I thought this was going to be a generic but good boxing movie. And the first 30 minutes of the film was all right. It just didn't strike me as anything new or exciting.
Okay.
It just felt like this seems like a very Oscar baity movie
Okay.
that's taking from other classics like Rocky and Million Dollar Baby.
Right.
And I was right in certain elements, but here's the thing.
Mm.
Unlike Million Dollar Baby, which I won't spoil, where the tough parts of the film happen in the third act,
Right.
this film gets to its tough material in the second act.
Right.
And I really like that this film focuses more on the rigorous training of boxing rather than just having flashy montages
Right.
or just or having it being about a boxer who is just so out of shape and or it's just so what's what I'm looking for.
Falling on hard times.
Well, falling on hard times like in Cinderella Man.
Right.
Or
Oh,
it's
good
just,
movie, by the way.
yes, definitely a good movie. Or in other cases, just is in self doubt or is his own worst enemy, like in Raging Bull.
Okay, interesting.
So this is basically, it's almost like a horror film in a way.
In a way, it's very visceral too, right?
Exactly. It's very graphic. It's
Right,
very
right.
disturbing. There are points where I'm like going, wait, is this film really going that direction? I knew it was going to go heavy. I didn't think the film would go heavy at the start.
Right.
I knew it was going to go heavy with the training as soon as I saw John Turturro show up and offer
Right.
his training.
Okay.
I offered to train him. But I did not expect it to go as graphic as it
Yeah,
went.
I thought it was going to be more of a sports drama,
Right.
focusing on the boxing, the sport and the art of that. But it really was just him, dieting, exercising. It's about the psychological impact
Hmm.
of really losing all this weight. And you mentioned John Turturro,
Hmm.
who he's the star of this movie. I'm not.
I agree with you.
He was absolutely. He plays a like a shady trainer who's brought in to, basically help Bloom lose the weight. And his methods are a little unorthodox, not
Very
exactly, yeah, not
unorthodox.
exactly legal,
No.
and things get a little dark. They take a turn.
Little.
Yeah. So, but I thought, I mean, I've loved Turturro for years. He's been, a fantastic actor for decades now, and I might even see an Oscar nomination for him in this one. What do you think?
It's possible. I heard some people says he really chews things up.
Hmm.
But I do think he is what gives the film its extra life and edge. Because Orlando Bloom, he's good in this movie. Because
Right.
you're right, when I see Orlando Bloom in action adventures or fantasies, he's, I believe he's heroic. But I mean,
Yeah.
when he's Legolas or Will Turner. But the problem is,
Hmm.
I feel like that he doesn't have too much personality. It's all good looks. It's just,
Right.
it feels almost a little artificial at times, or he doesn't have much to work with.
Right.
Not to say I don't love him as Legolas.
Right.
I'm just saying he doesn't offer too much personality. And to be honest, in this film, I don't get that much about him here. Like, I feel like any actor could have played this role. But
True.
here's the thing. I feel like Orlando Bloom is pushing himself to sell that drama,
Yeah.
to sell the stress, and he's not going overboard. He's
Right.
subtle in the right
No.
places. He's dramatic where it needs to be. And I just feel the blood, sweat, and tears coming out of him this whole
Yeah.
film.
He gives a solid performance here.
Hmm.
I mentioned those films as well, especially the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He really, up until this point, was a heartthrob. Was really just kind of like this leading man, kind of like a Josh Hartnett type.
Yeah.
But he dives deep into this role, and I think he did a fantastic job.
I feel like this film, I haven't seen a lot of his work, so I'm going to
Right.
be honest, but I feel like this film really showed his true acting chops and
Yeah.
what he can do.
I'm really proud of what he's done. I'm happy about the direction his career is taking.
Hmm.
I think The Cut is a strong film. I want to also mention the direction from Sean Ellis,
Hmm.
very talented director here. Also, the editing I think should also be mentioned. It's fantastic here as well. It really paints the picture. It tells the story very well, and it emphasizes the pain and the mental anguish that Orlando Bloom's character is facing throughout the film. So. I think it's a strong one. I was
I think it's
surprised.
strong. I think it's a little too much at times,
Okay.
where it feels a bit exaggerated when we get to the end, which I won't spoil.
Right,
But
right.
you'll see what I mean when I mention it feels like a horror movie at times if you decide to check out the movie,
Yes,
folks.
yes.
Um, and I'm going to say this. It did
Yeah.
something that, again, I was comparing it a little to Million Dollar Baby.
Mm,
Well, the thing is, I just saw it for the first time a few months ago,
mm,
and the first two acts just felt very generic to me.
yeah.
And I'm like, where is this movie going to get really exciting? When is this movie going to be, the ultimate favorite of the year? Where am I going to start to see that? I mean, it has
Right.
good characters, good acting, but it just it's kind of visually dull, and it feels like Rocky just with a woman, which isn't a bad concept, but I expected to be a little more meat to it, if you know what I
Right.
mean. But then when we get to the third act, which I won't spoil,
Right.
that's where I'm like, okay, so people pretty much fell for this film because of its third act. And
Right.
I feel like the cut was merciful to like put the cards on the table early enough to say, no, we are not going to trick you into thinking that this is a Rocky film.
Right.
We are
Yeah.
going to give it to you right away as soon after the first 30 minutes. It kind of builds like a horror film. It starts out slow,
Right.
and then once you're there,
Right.
it just gets more and more intense.
Now, so you mentioned Million Dollar Baby.
Mhm.
You got Rocky. You also mentioned Raging Bull. These are all Oscar nominated films, all very acclaimed films. And I'm curious what it is about the boxing movie as a genre, specifically boxing, that makes it such like strong Oscar bait. I don't know what it is, but I guess it's the battle between two people,
That's part of it.
kind of like the battle of good and evil almost. It's like a universal theme. The cut doesn't really delve in that.
No, it does not.
It's really the battle of just one guy against himself.
Hmm.
And I mean,
which is pretty much Raging Bull when you think about it.
that's true actually.
Um,
He's
but
a, he's a but he's at battle with himself and everybody else in his personal life too.
right, exactly.
But I just want to mention I would recommend The Cut to people to see. Would you recommend this to people?
Well, it depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for a boxing film like
Mm,
Rocky, you're not going to get it.
yeah.
But if you're looking for a film that's going to show you an extreme side of boxing that films don't usually cover as much,
Right.
this film I do recommend. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything like that, but I think it gets its job done very fine.
Right. And also, I want to mention the female lead in the film, Catriona Balfe. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry, Miss Balfe. I think she was pretty good. I've never really seen her before,
Hmm.
but I think she gave a strong performance in this as well as Totoro. But
And I like to add, and the actor who played the guy who got him the chance to fight again.
oh, I don't have his name here, but we salute him as well.
Yeah, I thought he was very entertaining. Like he was my favorite part of the first act.
Very good, very good. All right, so The Cut, it is actually in UK and Irish cinemas, and I believe it might be streaming soon. I hope, because this movie should be appreciated by every country, I must say.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Now, you mentioned how this film reminded you of a horror movie, and right now we're going to segue into something kind of interesting. So this film, it's a documentary. It's called Chain Reactions, and it is basically a documentary about one of the greatest horror films of all time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. And this film was actually made last year to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this film is amazing. It really it shows different viewpoints and reactions of Texas's legacy, enduring legacy, I should say. And we basically have in-depth interviews in the film from Patton Oswalt, Takashi Miike, sorry, Alexandra Heller Nicholas, Stephen King, and Karen Kusama, who all have different experiences with the original film, how it's impacted their work and their lives. And we get a really interesting look, and I loved all the interviews. I loved all the insight that these fine people had regarding this classic. I just want to mention that I saw I think I saw the original film when I was in college the first time, and it was out there. It was just like the grittiest movie I've ever seen at the time, and it really had a lot to say about American culture, especially during the 70s. And it was just so again visceral and very graphic, obviously. The story is it's just a chaotic, it's a masterpiece. It goes in so many directions. You don't know where it's going to go, especially if you've never seen it. It really it's extremely shocking and surprising, and it's a lot going on. And just visually, stylistically, it is just beautiful. And I can see why it's one of the greatest horror films ever made. But in purposes of the review of the documentary, Tyler, what were your thoughts on Chain Reactions?
Well, I just want to add, before I begin my thoughts, I just want to say that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not only one of my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time,
Hmm.
but it's also one of the few horror films that actually makes me shiver, that actually makes me feel unclean and dirty when I watch it.
Okay.
Like, I usually when I watch a horror film, I look at it as a roller coaster.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's always like a thrill ride for me that I just enjoy.
Okay.
And with Texas Chainsaw, it kind of gave me more than what I expected when I first saw it, and but it also gave me less than I expected, but in the best ways possible.
Okay.
For instance, one of the things they tackle in this documentary is how there's a lack of gore in the
Right.
actual movie. In fact, I'll even say is we only get one chainsaw murder in the movie.
That's
Just
right.
one.
I know.
It's mainly done with a sledgehammer.
Right, you're right.
When you really look at it and analyze it.
Right, right.
And but what made it disturbing was the environment, the feeling of this grittiness of being trapped with these people,
Right.
or in this other side of the country where nobody can see you or hear you. You're miles away from any
You're trapped,
civilization.
but like in a wide open space.
Right,
It's just a very interesting paradox.
right. And you just feel the blood of what's going on. You can just imagine the terrors that are coming to
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah.
or how they're being slaughtered. Like the mind, it's an example of a film that says the mind is more violent than what you see on screen.
That's right.
And it's just done so effectively with its sounds.
Yeah.
It's shots, it's aesthetic,
Yeah.
of a low budget documentary like feel. I just love it. And what I was pleased about this documentary was
Mm.
this wasn't a making of the movie because we
Right.
have too many of them. I mean, I think this would have been fine if it was, but it wouldn't be anything that new.
Right. That's what I thought it was going into it, actually.
Like I thought I was going to hear the same stuff. Like this
Yeah.
movie is loosely based on Ed Gein,
Right.
and I'm just okay.
The actual murderer from the 50s.
Right, who also inspired Norman Bates and Psycho.
Right, right.
I thought this is what the film was going to do. Just give me old information and just repackage it in a way for modern audiences to click.
Yeah.
Which would have been fine, but nothing different. But the fact that they got so many different people to talk about this movie
Right.
who have a really deep love and passion for not only the film, but horror in general.
Right.
I think this film is a great love letter to not only the film it's presenting, but to people who are just so passionate about horror films. Like, it's one of those films that makes me feel proud to be a horror fanatic.
Yeah.
The same way how a documentary like Bullets Over Hollywood made me happy to be a gangster film fanatic as well.
Nice. I love it.
So,
yeah, this film, it really is a love letter. I totally agree with you. And the original film, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it came out just a couple years after Psycho, which is, I mean, that's not really the first slash film that really impacted the genre.
right, it did.
Then Texas comes along a few years later, and it really kind of solidifies the genre, I'd say. It gives way to like Halloween and et cetera, et cetera,
Right.
et cetera.
In fact, I would say that Halloween was the popular one that really set the rules for the genre.
Yeah.
Every film after Halloween came out was trying to be like Halloween, including Friday the 13th. They even said, let's rip off Halloween. But that's
Right.
but I digress.
Right. And with Texas, we got a plethora of sequels and remakes and reboots and comic books and video games. And yeah, it's a little ridiculous now, but I just wish I really do wish I was back in the 70s in a movie theater with you watching Texas for the first time. And I wonder if the impact would have been as strong as it is now in 2025. I don't know, but it still would have been a great experience, I'm sure.
Oh, I believe it is.
Yeah.
I even know the film was very controversial. Like,
right.
One of the things I like to mention about the film is when I was watching the documentary, I love how they were comparing to other horror films, even classic horror films like Nosferatu, for example.
Yes.
Like, I never would have made some of these connections, and they
Right.
don't sound like far-fetched. And I like how later horror films kind of have some influence from it, like the Blair Witch Project.
That's right.
I even like the essay that one of them talks about regarding how the grainy VHS tape that looks too yellow actually adds to the feeling of heat.
Right.
When it's a poor transfer, but it actually makes it better, which I think is a very interesting angle to look at it. And also, it's the equivalent of watching The Ring on VHS.
Yeah.
The grainy quality just adds to the experience.
I love that experience.
But
and
what
also,
I'm aiming at here,
they also mention Bergman. There's some influences here from Texas from Bergman films, and you mentioned Nosferatu. Yeah, it really borrows a lot, but also at the same time creates a new world, which is really exciting to see.
Right, exactly. And one of the things I think the film borrows that the film doesn't cover on, which just made me think, is The Most Dangerous Game.
Okay.
Which is an old 1930s film.
Right.
Because really think about it. When you look at The Illusion, this family of cannibals treat their victims like animals from a slaughterhouse.
Right.
The same way how the villain in Dangerous Games treats his visitors on his island as animals that he plans to hunt.
That's right.
So I think that's I'm surprised nobody's ever talked about it.
It's interesting.
But then again, I think the film has become obscure, hence why. But that's just one of my things. But speaking of obscure, I also like the relationship that the film has with Tobe Hooper's earlier film, Eggshells.
I've actually never seen.
No, me neither.
Yeah, but now I think I may have to go back and see that one.
Right. Yeah, because there is
there's a lot of stylistic similarities that he's borrowed from Eggshells in Texas,
Exactly.
and it's informed him as a filmmaker, and it's
Mhm.
part of his evolution in his filmography. So yeah.
And the documentary does more than just make me appreciate the movie.
Mm,
It also makes me want to watch other horror films I haven't seen before,
right.
particularly from the director.
Mhm.
What's his name?
Mhm.
Takisha
Oh, Takashi
Takashi.
Miike. Takashi.
Well, the film does more than just make me appreciate the film.
Uh-huh.
It also makes me want to check out other horror movies,
Yeah.
particularly from the director Tashiya Miike.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Sorry, sir.
because I really like his style of violence that he's demonstrating through his movies,
Oh
and
yeah.
they look very disturbing.
Very.
And I just love, if I may add,
There's like
oh,
all
go on.
these scenes of very specific torture that
Mm-hmm.
really like gave me chills. You mentioned shivers. This gentleman's movies, they've given me shivers, and it's just from 30-second clips.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Same.
physical, very specific, and very gruesome torture scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And they look really cool, actually. Like creepy as hell.
You just said what I was going to say, pretty much.
All right, all right.
And I like that he also makes a point how the film is like, the film Texas Chainsaw Massacre is how it influenced him to make people feel the pain rather than shocking them.
Yeah.
Like the meat hook scene, I mean, you don't
Right.
really see you see the woman being placed on a meat hook, but you don't see the blood coming
But
down.
it looks so realistic. Like it looks
It
like
does.
and the filmmaker who was interviewed in the film, Karen Kusama, and she's like mystified by this one scene and how it looks so realistic. What was the trick of getting her onto the hook and making it look so realistic?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think for me the whole movie is that gruesome and like
Mm-hmm.
mystifying. Like how did they do some of these
Exactly.
scenes?
It's a film that pushed a lot of barriers, as
Right.
Stephen King would even point out.
Right. And he was in the film.
Yes, he was one of the people being interviewed in this
Yeah.
documentary.
Right.
And I like that he had the guts to mention his banned book Rage that he pulled.
Okay, yeah.
Because he used himself as an example of pushing too far.
Yeah. I'm really
So I like that he talks about the limitations of how far you can push, like
Right.
what is in bad taste.
Right. And I by the way, I love the fact that they got him for this documentary.
I wish he was the finale, honestly.
Yeah, that'd been good. But I think they all had their specific voices, and they had some really strong points, some
Absolutely.
great points, I must say.
And it's not to mention what makes the film even easier to watch is it's done in chapters, so
Yeah.
it's easy to take a break or an intermission for those that just don't have the patience.
It's got a good flow to it. And,
very good flow.
And the film, I believe, is an hour and 40 minutes or so.
Yes.
It flies by, I must say.
It does.
I thought it felt like an hour and 20 maybe, but even shorter.
I mean, I will admit, after Stephen King's interview, I was getting kind of tired at that point.
Okay.
But the essay from Karen Kusama.
Yeah, the final girl.
Right, our final girl,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Was so insightful about, how, it's about the American dream screwing them over.
Yeah.
You have your livelihood, but now you gotta pay for it.
Right.
Now that we're no longer using you.
And it's also
I thought it was very strong stuff.
Yeah, no, I think she had the best arguments, the best points.
I agree.
It felt like I think she might be a film scholar. If she's not, she should be. And it felt like I was in like horror, 101, and she was great. But I think, yeah, she was a great way to end the film.
I agree.
Without giving too much away.
To a point, I thought Stephen King was just like too popular for me as a finale, but I do agree she did end the film well. I was just kind of tuning out because I'm like, oh, I saw Stephen King. I don't know this woman.
Right.
I'm kind of like, well, how do you top Stephen King? But she did a great job.
She did a good job, yeah.
Which I want to add also, I love that she also compares Leatherface to the Frankenstein monster.
Okay, yeah. How the monster is basically childlike and really doesn't know right from wrong.
Right, doesn't have much of an identity.
Right.
Like, it's true. And, the thing about the film is, which this documentary really shed some light on, I am so terrified when I watch the film, I forget that Leatherface can be sympathetic in a twisted way. Like, you know, when you really look at it, it's like it's these people invading his home.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
just
yeah.
protecting his property while he's trying to figure out himself.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize the different layers to it, in all honesty. All I just know is that the film had a dark sense of humor that nobody really got at the time.
And like Frankenstein, he is a misunderstood character, a misunderstood monster.
Right.
He doesn't know anything else. He just knows evil.
He just knows how to butcher.
Yeah, that's all he's known his entire life,
And he's always, made fun of and scorned by his own family.
Yeah, that's why he has to wear a mask to protect his actual identity.
He's always changing his face.
He doesn't know who he
play
is.
The part of the family, like the mother.
But I kind of want to go back and watch some of Hooper's other stuff, like Life Force, and they had a quick clip in the documentary here, Mangler, which looked really good actually, where I think he continued to utilize practical effects well into the 90s and I think later on.
Now, for those who are not into horror, this is definitely not for you.
Right.
And if you don't like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
right,
maybe this will enlighten you a bit if you're curious to just hear other people's critical points. But at the same time, I'm not saying this is like I'm not saying this is like going to be one of the best documentaries of all time. It's going to be remembered as one of the best.
No.
But I think it's a great one in terms of for horror lovers to get attached to. And remember why this is a film worth celebrating.
And we typically don't review documentaries on the show, but we should. I'm not against documentaries at all. They just don't come my way too often, at least interesting ones. But this one is definitely one of the stronger ones I've seen in recent times. And yeah, if you are curious about this documentary, I would strongly urge you to check out the original film first.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Because there's tons and tons of spoilers. Right.
And the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a classic, obviously. And for Tyler and myself, it is one of our favorites. And it stands the test of time. Chain Reactions is the name of the documentary. It is a perfect companion piece to the original film if you want to just dig deeper into it. And I just want to give a lot of credit to the director, Alexandre O'Philippe. He did a great job, and you can tell he's a cinephile like us, and he really respects good art.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not just great art, I must say.
Great art indeed.
Yes.
It's just a really great documentary that also makes me proud to be a horror fan.
Agree.
And give me more reasons to love Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I know. And again, I thought this was just going to be a run-of-the-mill, behind-the-scenes look.
Right.
But it's a lot, it's like more philosophical, I'd say.
It is.
And it's like a real, like you said, like an essay, like a film essay put in motion on film. And it's a love letter to the film.
It is.
To the original film. You can check out Chain Reactions. It's in limited release now in New York and LA. And expands nationwide September 26th, and probably will stream as well in the future. So, that's Chain Reactions. Great film.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, we're almost about out of time. Are there any plugs on your end?
I have 2 plugs, as a matter of fact. Awesome. Well, if you want to hear me dive deeper in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, on my blog, Tyler the Movie Maniac, I did a whole essay talking not only about how it was made, why it was a big shocker of the time, but it was me figuring out why is this the scariest movie I've ever seen. It actually makes my skin crawl. And
I gotta read that.
I really worked hard on that one, and I did a lot of research, and I really had to dig deep in myself to really think about why is this film more disturbing when it doesn't really show that much blood.
Yeah, you're right.
And the other one is Blood Manor. I take some influence from Texas Chainsaw Massacre when I work on a bloody floor, particularly from the hitchhiker in the film. Nice. He's one of my influences, and I happen to be, or at least I used to be, a cannibal that sells meat. So definitely check out Blood Manor in NYC if you just happen to be in New York City. It's a fun haunt. There's 2 floors, very different from the other. It's got a ton of energy and creativity, so definitely come this October if you can.
Sounds good. And where is Blood Manor? It's in Manhattan.
It's in Manhattan, Broadway by Canal Street.
Awesome. I might stop by, pay you a little visit.
I would love that very much.
Just don't scare me too bad, okay?
I make no promises.
Nice. As for me, you can check out Under the Radar on Slam Radio through SiriusXM, channel 145, every Thursday and Saturday. Also, the video version of Under the Radar can be seen on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and that's every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, feel free to subscribe to the Under the Radar YouTube channel. Subscribe and share the love. So, Tyler Michael, thank you so much for tonight. This was amazing, as usual.
As always.
Yeah, it's very horrific, but in a good way. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing you in on future episodes and at Blood Manor.
You as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me.
Anytime. So, guys, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar, bringing movies and people together one frame at a time. We'll see you next time. Take care.